So it seems like One Punch Man Season 3 just did the impossible. They put out a good episode. Not clickbait here, honestly, and of course this is just my opinion, and everybody has like their own levels of like what good animation is, but honestly, this by far, this episode 8, had the best animation out of any episode so far this season. In particular with the fight between Flashy Flash, Hellfire Flame, and Gale Wind. Now of course other stuff happened within the episode, like for example, Child Emperor fighting G5. That one also had a pretty cool moment where his dogs transformed into the Cerberus mode, the three of them combined. And the transformation was very fluid and crisp. I really enjoyed it. But honestly, like watching this episode and then watching the fight between Flashy Flash and the ninjas, like I think someone put out a meme online that like perfectly encapsulated what I feel like most fans were reacting, or the way they were reacting to this when they first saw it, and it's this right here. What I think is like the super impressive thing about this fight is that it goes on for like 8 minutes straight. Like it's 8 minutes of action. Sure, there's like a few moments where they stop to talk and Flashy Flash like talks about like all the different like super powerful people that he's killed, or like assassins and things like that. Kind of just like hyping himself up a little bit. The vast majority of it was action, was choreography, was this like super epic fight between Flashy Flash and these two ninjas. Especially once they get to this like underground portion with the waterfall, like the some of the scenes were actually pretty amazing. What I thought was specifically impressive though, that reminded me of stuff that we heard from before the season started, was the crossing, or like the very seamless transition between 2D and 3D animation. The director of the season, Shinpei Nagai, in past tweets has mentioned that he was looking to use 2D and 3D animation in some of these scenes. And although it was present in scenes in the past, like it never looked nearly as good as this. Now, I'm not going to say that like, oh, this is like animation of the year, better than anything from like MHA or Demon Slayer or anything like that. But honestly, from what we've been getting the past 7 episodes compared to this, it's like pretty top tier animation. Again, like in a vacuum, standalone, it's just generally like pretty good animation, or just good animation. But honestly, as a One Punch Man fan that's just been suffering for the past like 7 weeks, this is a very pleasant surprise. This just goes to show that given like the appropriate amount of resources and time, which JC Staff seems to have not gotten at all from Bandai Namco, they can produce some actually high quality animation, or at least something that's respectable. It kind of just makes you wonder like what could have been if they had enough time with the prior 7 episodes. You could definitely tell that they probably put like the majority of their time and resources into these final 5 episodes, seeing as how the majority of these past episodes have been pretty heavily outsourced to other studios, like many Chinese studios and things like that. So this gives us like a rare shot of copium as fans, that like the rest of the season is going to be much higher quality than everything before it. Of course, like we would have really wished if the fight between Garo and Orochi was at this level of quality, if not better. I mean, at this point, I'm just like happy enjoying what we get, you know, like every little morsel of good animation in this season. I'm gonna soak it in, enjoy it. Of course, I'm still gonna criticize the season as a whole, because waiting 7 episodes to get to this and finally getting some good animation is very unacceptable. One Punch Man still deserves much better than what it's gotten this season so far. I'm not going to be like other people online that are like, oh yeah, the animation was decent, but the season is still crap, they need to cancel the season, we don't care about a little bit of good animation, yada yada yada. Like no one wants to be happy, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about you guys specifically, because a lot of you guys watching these videos are not as like just super negative all the time about everything. Like of course there's definitely many criticisms to be had for the season, and I myself have even hopped on like the boycott Bandai Namco train. That doesn't mean that we can't like just enjoy the little moments that we get that are positive, when like there's just so much negative out there for this season already. But I get it, you know, being super negative and talking crap about the season is like the popular thing right now. It gets you the most views, the most likes, etc. So like whatever, people are gonna do what they want. Of course, I would get way more views if I just made these like crazy videos talking as much crap and being super like overly critical about the season, which, you know, it can be justified in many instances because there's been some awful animation in this season. But I don't know, call me a One Punch Man fanboy, whatever you want. I enjoyed this part, and it leaves me pretty excited for everything else that's still to come, because as you know, if you're a manga reader, there are a ton of fights still coming. One thing I do want to point out though that might make me a little bit of a party pooper is that I feel like one thing that this season has not fixed from the previous one, season 2. Just cutting in here really quick, I recently partnered up with Supps. A lot of you might have already heard about Supps before. They're like the go-to for energy supplements for gamers and people that enjoy anime and manga. Pretty big in the community. It's a product with 0 sugar, less than 1 carb, and less than 1 calorie, so it's keto friendly and diabetic safe. So this is pretty big because I used to drink a lot of energy drinks, and it's both healthier and cheaper than just straight up buying energy drinks from the gas station or something. And on top of that, I'm sure some of you may love this. They also have these like very aesthetic waifu cups that of course are anime themed because, you know, waifu. And what's really cool is if you click the link in my description and use my code AnimeX, you'll get 10% off your order, and on top of that, you'll be helping this channel greatly. I wouldn't be recommending this stuff to you guys if I didn't use it myself. I literally drink it every day. Like, I'm drinking it right now as I record this video. The flavors are good, the service is amazing, you get your stuff very quickly. So make sure to use the link in my description and use my code to save some money. Is the sound design, like the sound effects, I feel like in this fight were a little jarring, like the clashing of the swords and like the different movement sounds. I feel like they were a little bit overwhelming a lot of the time, and kind of like the volume was just like too high on them, or they were just too harsh. By no means did it ruin the episode for me or anything, but it's just definitely something that I wish they would have like improved on. But considering that essentially everything else outside of this has gotten much worse than even season 2, I guess that kind of is asking for a lot, right? I also thought the voice acting for this episode was much better than in other episodes. Like, if you guys have noticed in past episodes, it almost seems like the voice acting was kind of rushed, didn't have much emotion behind it or any oomph, you know. It just seemed like someone was literally reading a script off a piece of paper in some instances, which is also something that supports like what I believe in, that like these episodes, like these last 5 episodes, were probably worked on first, and they were probably voice acted first as well. And I'm not really sure if that really makes sense. I'm not like super keen on anime production or anything like that, so I could be wrong. But it does seem like these final 5 episodes were worked on in advance, or like much before the previous 7. But unfortunately, because of time and resource constraints, they had to kind of outsource everything else and just kind of bite the bullet on it. Now, with kind of the pacing this season has had, which was like pretty bad at the beginning, like things were going by way too slow. There's still a ton to cover in this arc. I know for sure that like the majority of this arc isn't going to be covered in this season. That's going to be for season 4. I feel like at this point, like these last 4 episodes, there is going to be at least somewhat enough breathing room for like the rest of the fights with the S-Class to go and not feel like it's super rushed. So here's me crossing my fingers that like everything else beyond this point is much closer to the quality of episode 8 versus everything else before it. Best believe whether it's good or bad, I will be covering it on this channel. And like I had like some cavities filled in today, my lips like still kind of swollen, so you know, if I'm talking kind of weird, that's why. But I did not want to wait to talk about this with you guys. I just wanted to get it out there as soon as possible. And like I said, I'm not going to be like the rage baiting content where like all I am is just like crapping on the season, crapping on the episodes, every little bad thing that's going on with it, which of course is going to hurt my views and revenue on this channel. So, you know, if you want to support the channel, keep things going, keep the lights on, make sure to subscribe, but also use my link in the description below to buy yourself some gamer subs. A lot of the flavors and containers have some very interesting artwork, so, you know, some of you might enjoy that. That is it for this one, though. Have an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. One Punch Man fans, enjoy this very rare W. I'll see you in the next one, and peace out.